Yeah, good morning one and all. This is Ramad Mohan and welcome to KANISHKA IAS. So here we'll be discussing about the UPSC mains answer writing, a three-part structure for a high-scoring answer. I'll repeat, we'll be discussing the mains UPSC mains answer writing where the three-part structure fetches a high-scoring marks for the civil services aspirants who are appearing for the mains examination. So we'll be discussing about the IBC formula in much more deeper or depth, we can say. Like coming to the introduction, it makes the first impression to the examiner, okay? It creates a first impression that whoever examiner is correcting a particular answer sheet. And coming to the body, it scores the maximum marks for an aspirant who is writing the mains, UPSC mains. So coming to the conclusion, it leaves a lasting impression, okay? So how you are concluding and in what way you are decorating your answer and all. So there should be, the UPSC is testing your clarity of thought along with that, the structure of answer and the depth of understanding, which is nothing but, which yields better marks and high scoring marks in the UPSC mains examination. Coming to the first part, so part one is nothing but the introduction, as we said. So it gives or creates a first impression. So how to impress the examiner? So what is the technique or what are the tips to attract the examiner? Which like introduction itself is, it should be an eye-catching for the examiner, right? So the introduction is the first thing the examiner reads, right? So a great introduction, it signals that you have understood the question and creates a positive bias that can influence your entire score. Very, very must. So the aspirants had to focus on this and they should not neglect the introduction part. So coming to the introduction part, like how you can impress the examiner. So how to craft the perfect introduction. I'll repeat. So how do we craft or how we decorate the introduction in a beautiful manner in order to be attractive. So you can start with the definition. So the first approach is the definitional approach or the classic part, we can say. So define the core concept, like what the question is asking. So you just provide the definition. So coming to the second approach, it could be the factual or data-based approach, or we can say the authority. So begin with a relevant fact. Okay, you can start your answer with a relevant fact. Suppose in economy, in Indian economy, suppose they ask about the GDP. So how India, like what is the current GDP of India and related with the international, right? Or the world GDP, you can compare, or you can compare the GDP with other nations. So how far we are doing much better. So in that manner you can start with your statistics or particular report which is very, very significant or relevant to the topic asked in the question. And the third methodology is the current affairs. The current affairs hook could be used, or we can simply say it acts as a connector, okay? So link the topic to a recent event. It could be a policy or news item to show some contemporary relevance, okay? So I'll repeat that. You can add the current affairs as a hook which acts as a connector, and you can use that current affairs as a link or connector to impress the examiner. And finally, you can use the anecdote or a story base to start. We can simply say the engager. You can use a short story, okay, which impacts the examiner. Okay, it creates an impactful manner, or anecdote or some scenario, or it could be a small story which attracts the examiner. Right. So coming to so how you do this all, like for example, in the definition part, like suppose if they are asking about cooperative federalism and all those aspects, like how India doing, the center is doing with the states, that part you can project. In case of the factual or the database, what you can do is like 5 million people in India migrated due to disaster in 2019, if the question is related to that. And coming to the third part, that is the current affairs part, or the hook or the connector part, what you can do is recent demands for separate states. This could be used over there. Sorry. And finally, the anecdote or story, what you can do is you can engage the examiner by a coordinated cyber attack or a critical infrastructure, something related to cyber attacks. So it again depends upon the different kinds of possibilities or demand of the question. So coming to the part 2, that is the body, where you score the marks actually. So the body is the heart of your answer. So this is where the real content lies actually, and it carries the maximum marks. So it fetches you the high scoring marks in the body, that is part 2. So how we go for that, like fetching more marks? So first point is the power of structure actually. So how you structure your answer matters a lot for fetching better marks. Like you have to use the headings, okay, and you need to go for along with headings you need to use bullet points, okay. Like whatever points you want to mention, you need to stress on the bullet points along with headings, and you can use subheadings as well, okay. Okay, subheadings, that adds beauty to the answer. Or you can use a wall of text as an examiner's nightmare. Use subheadings to break your answer into logical parts. Like if there are certain challenges or you are providing certain solutions or some impacts are there where the question is demanding, and use bullet points to present your arguments concisely. That means whatever you want to project or whatever you want to say, like whatever thoughts you want to put on the paper, so you need to be concise, okay, you need to be clear, which could be understood by the examiner. And coming to the second approach, that is multi-dimensional approach. So seeing the bigger picture. So UPSC questions are multifaceted, okay, they ask in different manners, right, different ways. And you need to analyze the topic in multiple perspectives. It could be historical, political, economical, social, environmental, along with that ethical, right? So you need to focus on the multi-dimensional aspects, and one-dimensional answer will always fall short. So this is like incorrect way of answer writing. So what you have to do is you have to go for this choice. That is, you need to analyze the topic in multiple dimensions, multiple perspectives have to be put in social, economic, political, environmental, along with that ethical aspects have to be put up properly. For example, you can consider a question on urbanization can be analyzed in terms of social, economical and environmental impacts. So a question on a policy can be analyzed from social aspects and economic standpoints. So you need to master those skills to make your answer look beautiful and more eye-catching to the examiner. And coming to the third strategy is the art of substantiation. That is, back your points with proof. So simply don't say that the GDP of India is greater than sub X country, right? Right. So don't say that the GDP of India with some data, okay? You have to substantiate that with some proof, right? So you are saying that the GDP of India is 7.2 or 7.5, okay, percent, something like that, or some growth rate is something like this, okay? So you need to project the figures, the data facts, the statistics when you are comparing between two nations, or you are comparing India with the world. So add value to authentic data and credible references. You can simply say that, for example, if you are talking about the demography, right? Demography of India. So India is like the highest populated country in the world, right? So approximately the population of India is around 145 crores, right? So when you are talking about the demography, again it spans from 15 to 64 years, what is the percentage of age group and all age structure. So you need to have the clarity, so that you get from the government sources, or simply we can say credible resources. Okay, credible sources, you need to take the data and put it on the answers. So data facts could be collected from the economic survey, Niti Aayog, PIB, reports, etc. PIB is nothing but Press Information Bureau, and you can refer the constitutional articles and amendments, and you can go through the Supreme Court judgments, some committees and commission recommendations, that if you put it will be better, like when you are talking about the literacy or women empowerment, okay, or poverty, hunger, or some climate related issues. So you need to refer the committee, what committee has said and what commissions have recommended, and based on the reports you need to substantiate your answers with proof, which adds beauty to your answer writing. So you need to go through the government schemes and policies. So these are the resources where you can add as a proof, to your answer writing. So value addition will definitely yield the higher scores, okay, or it will lead you to score more marks in the examination. So what separates a 4 by 10 answer from a 7 by 10 answer is value addition. So someone may fetch 4 marks out of the 10, right? But the person who is fetching 7 marks out of 10, that means he has added some value to the answer, okay? He has added value by bringing all the GS wherever it is required, along with the static parts, and adding certain current affairs or current events or some data, statistics, what is happening currently with the previous ones or previous nations, etc. So that analysis and comparison adds value to your answer, and it will lead to high scoring marks in the UPSC mains. So a well-structured answer reflects a clear and organized mind. So it gives the examiner an impression about the UPSC aspirant that he has a clear mind and a better understanding about the situation or the subject. And this shows comprehensive understanding and a mature thought process. Okay, it shows a comprehensive understanding along with a mature thought process. So what we can say is, to get high quality current information, a consolidated resource is essential. So whatever resources I already told you, like what to follow and all, a program like the current affairs can be a game changer, providing you with organized exam relevant data to enrich your answers. I'll repeat, to get high quality or high marks, we need to go for high quality current information along with that consolidated resources, okay, so that it could be a game changer in your answer writing, which helps you in organized answer and exam relevant data, etc. And coming to the third part, finally, part 3 is nothing but your conclusion part, where your final impression will be projected to the examiner. So here in the conclusion, what you are doing is, in the conclusion, your final statement, it leaves a lasting impression which talks about recency bias, like how you are concluding that matters a lot. It provides the closure of the answer writing, it reinforces your arguments and conveys your maturity and vision as a future civil servant. So very, very important. So conclusion gives, so each and every part of IBC, introduction, whether it is body or conclusion, whatever it may be, they are doing well. So how to craft a conclusion part? So crafting a powerful forward-looking conclusion matters a lot, and how do we go for that? So coming to the first method is, it should be solution-oriented. That is nothing but a way forward that addresses the challenges, okay, discussed in the body. So as per the question, demand of the question, we need to provide the way forward for the challenges, whatever is asked in the question. For examples, we can go, we can address multi-pronged strategy. Strengthening institutions and accountability is the need of the hour. So like that you can conclude in a positive way, which adds beauty to your answer. And coming to the second method is be visionary. So end on a note that highlights larger significance, connecting a constitutional values, which adds national goals, etc. For example, we can use conclude this is essential for building a just, inclusive and prosperous India, or you can also align with our constitutional ethos, and you can mention about something about Vikshit Bharat by the year 2047. And the third conclusion could be done in the officer-like touch. Okay, as you are a civil servant, future civil servant, so it has to bring the officer-like touch. Okay, so use phrases that reflect administrative maturity and policy perspective. So how do you go for that? So we can take certain examples, like a multi-stakeholder approach is essential. Along with that, synergetic efforts of all stakeholders are the key. Policy imperatives and be matched with effective implementation. So finally, what I would like to say is that what needs to be done while answer writing. One thing, for this conclusion, right? That should be we have to keep in mind that it should be very short, that is 2 to 3 lines. It should be positive along with forward looking and in an optimistic and a clarified manner. It should be, your answer should be concluded in a clarity. And coming to the don'ts, what should not be done. So just to repeat points, so don't repeat the points. end abruptly. If you end up abruptly without some conclusion or some positive, then that will be not fetching more marks. And be negative or pessimistic. So you need to go for optimism, right? No pessimism, and we can say that no negative conclusions. So think deeply, write structured, and score higher marks. So yeah, what I would like to say is, yeah, that is the end of the answer writing session. And I wish all those who are appearing for the UPSC mains answer writing within a week, I hope. And I do wish them a very good luck for the UPSC mains examination. Thank you so much. That's it for today. We'll meet in the next session.